So it's so critically important to believe in yourself, not just in a cursory manner, but just really live what you teach on all matters, especially the value of what you do. And have confidence in the tuition you charge. And what happens if your tuition goes up, you just make sure your services improve. For instance, at our school, we never go up on tuition unless we do something tangible to increase the service or increase the experience. You know? So have confidence. You know? I don't know, you don't have to answer. Are there any people in here that think they're worth more than they're charging? Don't know. Then do it. That's what I would say. Selling may be a crass term to some, but it's essentially a transference of feeling. If you believe you're worth that, guess what? The students are going to believe that. If you believe you provide the value, and you do, then it's a no-brainer. You know? So many people martial artists have confidence on the floor, but when it comes to business transaction or the value they're putting out there, or even the tuition they're charging, it's the confidence wanes. Don't have it wane. Believe in it. You know. Believe in yourself. It's so critically important, you know. There's this story in American folklore of a business story. I always like this story. It was about a businessman who was terribly deep in debt. And he was behind on all his payments, phone calls, people coming after him. And he sat one day on a park bench, and he had his head in his hands. And he was depressed. He didn't know where to go, what to do. He was heavily in debt. And an old man came up to him and said, "Sir, what's your problem?" And he says, I'm just... And he poured out his heart and soul to him. And the old man said, "What's your name?" And the man on the bench gave him his name. And the man pulled out a check, wrote a check, gave it to the man. And he gave him a check for $500,000. And it was signed by John D. Rockefeller. At the time, one of the richest men in the world. So the man said, "Oh my God, all my worries are over. Look what I can do now." And he says, "You know, but what? I'm going to put this in the bank. And just knowing I have it's going to help me." So he put the check in the bank, didn't cash it, but he changed his whole outlook. He started becoming more aggressive. He worked out better deals with his creditors. He developed greater sales. And all of a sudden, he got out of debt. 1 year later, the man said, "Meet me 1 year later and you can pay me back then." 1 year later, he came to the same park, and he was so excited to tell the man, if he would come, what had happened and to give him back his check. Because he had a fantastic year. And sure enough, there comes the old man walking up to the bench. And just as they're about to speak, a nurse comes running up, grabs the old man by the shoulder and says, "Oh, I'm so sorry. I hope he didn't bother you. He likes to tell people he's John Rockefeller." And he took the old man away. And I love that story because it was that person's... What did he think in his head was different? He thought he had the money. He had the wherewithal. What changed? That's all that changed.